Alright, y'all, this is Early Hoist Garage. So, today I decided we would talk about the Lee Perfect Powder Measure and the Lee Safety Powder Scale. Both came in the same kit that I got, this whole single pull kit, which if you've watched any of my last videos, I've talked a lot about this kit. So, we're going to talk about grain weight, volume, and cc's in the case of powder measuring. So this guy, the scale, and how we're going to look at figuring our charge. So I am loading 9mm, and in my case I'm using a 124 grain Lee Tumble Lube 9mm round. And these guys got about a Bernal hardness of roughly 18, give or take. So I have figured most accurate out of the the rifle that I shoot these out of, which is a 9mm bullpup style rifle, a 6.0 charge of, in my case, a accurate number 7, is a very accurate charge with these. So, here's how this guy works. So this guy's working off cc's, this guy is working off grain weight. So there's a couple ways you can go about this. One of the ways is figuring the average, basically the volume of the powder that you're using. So here we have an H380 rifle powder, and you can see my .0692 that I've got written on this bottle. Here we have a pistol powder, .0928. That is a volume level, and the way we figure that is we set this to a whole number, say 4. That's the number I like to use. We pour a charge of 4, we take it to the scale, and we figure out what the grain is, the grain weight is. Do that an even number of times and divide. And that is how you get your volume. So our .0692. Now there's a kind of easier way, less math, which is better for me. So, in the case of that average, so we're looking at a 36 grain 30-30 Winchester. I've had this piece of cardboard since I started reloading. I mean, it comes in the directions. It explains for the scale how to figure this volume. So this is for a 30-30 Winchester, and I've had that piece of cardboard since I started reloading, probably 10-12 years ago. Here's a 30-30 Winchester. So basically at that point you multiply, or I think it's divide actually, excuse me, I haven't done it this way in a long time, but you take your .0697 for that particular bottle by the 36 grains, it goes 2.51 cc's. So here's the thing to consider. Not every bottle weighs the same. Let's see if I got another one I've weighed out. I've kind of stopped doing this weigh out system. It takes a lot of time. I mean, you can do it, it doesn't hurt. But I've kind of stopped doing this weigh out system and instead just use the scale as a whole to figure my grain weight. But anyway, so the way this works is if we're looking for 2.51 cc's, on here you see the notches, you see the line. That goes up to 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, the white line. It's also marked at the half mark. And then you've got this dial here that is your tenths. So if we're looking for 2.51, we're going to raise this guy to 2, and then if you can barely see, oh, you can't really see it, I am just about at the half mark on this black dial here. So I would go up to 2 and turn it. This goes 0 through 9, so there's your tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2.5, 2.1, so on and so forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2. There's our tenths on the notches till I hit 5, and then I would turn this silver dial till we saw 1. That would give us 2.51 cc's on this guy. It's kind of an easier way to do it, a way that I've started using most recently. So if you do it long enough, you'll kind of get a good idea of what kind of powder, especially if you're using the same powder consistently, what will fill, a shell, what will even out. So what I'll do is I'll set to a basic mark. In this case, it's about 0.45. There's our 5.45, and then I'll measure it on the scale. So, going over to our scale, here's our Lee powder measure scale. So here you have our, front digit, and then we got our down to our tenths. So in my case, I'm looking for 6.0. So we're going to set our ball right there to 0. And then we're going to set this guy to 6, as you can see, grains, 0.0. Now, to 0 this, you set your ear scale end on there. And this dial, set it to 0. Set it to 0. Here, now our tenths are these dashes. So these dashes are the tenths. So I would go 0, and then whichever line you can see. So in this case, because I wiggled it previously, I bumped it, we're at 6.1. That is something to take into account. Very sensitive. If you bump it, you can set your charge off by whatever, 1/10 of a grain. Not a huge issue, but pay attention to it. So here's our 0. So if I was going to 0 the scale, I would hang this guy on there. Hang it on there. Set this slide back to 0, which you would see the 0 line, which, let me see here if I can adjust, because I need to be at 6.0 for that charge. See how the lines move? So that would be 6.1, 6.2. Actually, it would be 0.61. Or, excuse me, 6.1, 6.2. I was right originally. Math. I was told there'd be no math. So here's our 0. So that is 6.0 charges. 6.0 grains, excuse me. So if I move this up to 10, it'd be 10. It'd be 16.1. If I move that up to that 10 spot. But we want 6.0 grains. And it's real touchy. So there's our, I know it kind of looks like that 1 is visible. There's our 6.0. So I have a rough setting. Oh, I think I bumped it. Of course I did. Why not? In the middle of making a video, why wouldn't I bump it and mess it up? There we go. So, this guy comes over. Let me see if I can get a view here. There we go, good enough. So, turn it. Pour it into this. There's our powder. There's our accurate 7. Now we're going to bring it over. And we're going to weigh it. And we're set to 6.0. So that 0 mark should be angled across that silver point. Now, something to mention with this scale is, although it looks metal, this is actually glass. You have to be real careful with this scale. It is easy to basically jack it up. And you don't want to do that, obviously. Not terribly expensive, but, you don't want to have to rebuy equipment. So you see how the angle is just shy? We are just shy of 6.0. So we're going to come over here and make sure we are at 6.0. There's our line. And we are almost exactly on it. Now I can get finicky and make sure it's perfect, but you're going to be doing half marks and it's going to get weird. That, you know, 100th of a grain ain't going to hurt anything. So we're going to come back over. And I always like to do at least 3, if not more, pours to see my consistency. So let's do another. Come on, phone. Sorry about that. Let's do another pour. There's another one. Pick this up. We're going to come over and check our consistency. So, not bad, a little wiggly still. We are just a hair shy of 6.0. That's going to be alright. There's our 6. The angle's a little off, so it looks like a 5. Weirdly enough, when I look at the camera compared to the scale, it looks like it's back a dash. See that line, how it's back on the 6? So we could very well be at 5.9. So let's double check. So that notch is your 10th. So it's a little finicky. There we go. That is for sure a 6.0 right there. And there's our mark. We are just a hair below. That is alright. As long as we're not way over, always load under your max. As long as you're not over your max, you're going to be in good shape. So, that is one way to do it. Basically, figure out your CCs here, set it to something you believe will work, and then work down. You know, I was at like, you know, it was above for a while because I was at like I started at 1.0 on the dial here, and I worked my way back. And I do a consistent 3 pours before I start loading rounds. So I am at a consistent, there we just saw 2, a consistent 3 pours before I will load a round. So, there you have it. You know, something to consider. How to use this this Lee system here with the perfect powder measure and the scale together. So, the easy way, in my opinion, set yourself to a point here that's easy to deal with, pour it, and then measure it. And work your way back till you're getting a consistent pour at the grain weight, because like I said, the scale is your grain weight. Now, last thing to consider, make sure you have a flat surface. You gotta have a flat surface. It's gotta be consistent flat too. You can't have no wobble in that thing. You want to be sure about your charge. You do not want to overcharge. You do not want to undercharge. So, any questions about this system, whether it be this guy or the scale, the safety powder scale, let me know. So, that'll about sum it up, y'all. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped you. Any questions, leave them in the comments. You want to see a video that, you know, something specific, let me know. I do my best to make those happen. So, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks.